Have you been betrayed in your life? Who was it that betrayed you? Was it your wife? Was it your girlfriend, family member, or a friend? Um, Welcome back to Resilient Man channel. So today we're going to discuss betrayal and how to stay resilient through the betrayal. It's not easy, but you're going to get through the other side of this betrayal, and you want to not be broken. So I'm going to share a story with you of betrayal in my own life, specifically from my ex-wife, and how I got through it, how I stayed resilient, and hopefully this will encourage you and help you with these suggestions that I'm going to share with you as well. You know, betrayal is brutal. It really is brutal, especially when it's the person that you trusted the most in your life, and they turn out to be the one who stabs you in the back. You know, a lot of times we don't see it coming. So if you're watching this today, guys, again, welcome back to Resilient Man channel. Comment and share your betrayal story and how you persevered through it, how you stayed resilient. That's what Resilient Man channel is all about. It's about helping each other, you know, encouraging each other and supporting each other as men to help us get through times like this. You know, as men, we are tasked with going out into the world each day and slaying dragons, as they used to say, for our family, you know, for our wife and for our kids and for the ones we love. We go out into the world and we're faced with so many challenges, and with work and making a living and making ends meet and all the different things. And it's a real gut punch when, to us as men, emotionally and mentally, when the very person who was supposed to have your back is the one that betrays you. I mean, in this case, I'm talking about your wife, which probably is predominantly what most of you are dealing with. Some of you, it might be a girlfriend. Some of you, it might be a family member or a friend, and this will apply as well. But the thing is, when you were betrayed, you know, and there's multiple ways to betray you, obviously adultery being the main one, and then others, you know, lying, deceiving, manipulating, gaslighting. There's multiple ways that she can betray you. It literally throws us off kilter as men. And if you're feeling that today, what you're feeling is legitimate. I mean, that if you think about it, the person, and again, I'm going to say your wife, because that's usually the main situation. Your wife is supposed to be your partner in life and the part of the rock of your foundation of your world. And when that is shaken, when that turns out to not be true, if that person can betray you, shit, who else can? Anybody, really? And that's a terrible thing. It's a terrible way to feel. And ultimately, it makes you feel completely alone in this world. So not only are you going out and slaying those dragons every day for your wife and your family, but you're basically, shit, all alone and doing it. So if that's the way you feel, you know, I think this message is going to encourage you. I always think back to Robin Williams. You know, that guy, what a phenomenal actor and comedian, just so much talent. And he could just do it. His talent was just off the cuff. You know, it was so natural. And I think about him when it comes to resilience and stuff and things of that nature, because unfortunately the way, you know, his life ended. And I think in some ways maybe he felt a little betrayed by people in his life. He must have, based on what he said, because, he's quoted as saying, I used to think the worst thing in life was being alone. Actually, it's being with people who make you feel alone. Well, if you've been betrayed by your wife or your girlfriend or anyone for that matter, it really makes you feel alone. And that's just the thing. I mean, you have to be resilient through it, because you are going to get through the other side, and you don't want to be broken. You want to be better and not bitter. So let me share a story in my life of betrayal and how I got through it, how I worked through it. So my ex-wife, we had a rocky marriage. We did. We dated for 2 years. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We got married, all hell broke loose, and many ups and downs during the marriage. And after, I think, about 6 years or so, we were actually in a decent place. Most of the time together was not good, but then, like a lot of you men who are watching this, you have periods in your relationship and in your marriage where, all right, we're in a good stretch, we're in a good stride, and things are, go, and that kind of spurs you to keep going on. Well, my ex strolled in one morning when I was getting ready for work and told me she was leaving. She was moving out that weekend. She had rented another home and she was leaving me. And I was absolutely in shock. Now, for a while, I had been working full-time, and then I also had a part-time job. 2 weeks before, I lost my full-time job, so I was only working part-time nights and weekends. So 2 weeks after I lost my full-time job, my wife tells me she's leaving me. And I know some of you guys can relate to this. You have gone through it, are going through it, and so hang tight, because this will encourage you. But the thing is, even with our many problems, and there were many, I never saw her betraying me like this. I never saw her walking out on me, especially at a low point where I just lost my full-time job. And the interesting thing is, well, number one, we had sex the night before. I mean, literally, she strolled in that morning and drops this bomb on me. And literally, we had sex 8 hours before. It's like, what? So, that goes to show you cannot underestimate the deviousness of a woman and the fact she is going to put her own interests first, always. And, in my case, some of you guys, when I say this, you're going to say, oh, that's what I was told too. In my case, I was told for years, I am solidly on your team. I am your rock. I am your, I'm the one who's got your back. And I believed it. So she comes in and she drops this bomb. And I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I mean, just absolutely astounded. And, she said, well, I don't want a divorce. I just think we should separate and we'll work on our marriage separately, and then come back together once we work things out. Long story short, I said, this is stupid as shit. You're making a huge mistake. And this is actually going to put more problems on us. She had listened to her her family and her daughters and different things like that, and made the wrong decision. And I share that because a lot of you guys have gone through that. Now, in my case, there wasn't adultery that I know of. Some of you guys are watching this and you have been cheated on, and that is the ultimate betrayal, and it is brutal. And so it is extremely hard to get back on your feet, so as to speak, mentally and emotionally, because you've been gut punched. I mean, you've been punched in the face, essentially. And so realize that, accept that, but still know that you can be resilient through this. You can get through this, but it's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. So let's get into that. How I stayed resilient through this situation. So here I am. My wife tells me I'm leaving you. Just lost my full-time job, all this stuff going on. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And first and foremost, the thing I did not do is I didn't take the bait of anger like a lot of men do. And what I mean by that is you have to be careful. You really do have to be careful if you are in that situation. If she has betrayed you, if she was willing to do that, she might be willing to hurt you in other ways as well. And that's why I say, don't take the bait of getting angry and possibly saying or doing something that you end up with the police coming and they take you off, because that may be what she wants. That may be part of the plan, because once you have a police record, especially for anything domestic like that, they're going to use it against you big time in the divorce, and you don't want that. So in my case, she dropped this bomb on me. We had a discussion for about 15 minutes. I said, I got to go to work, and I went to work because that's all I could do. I couldn't control what she was going to do, and I was going to stay in control myself. The next thing was that I did to stay resilient was I didn't take it lying down. I sprung into action immediately. Immediately, I thought to myself, what do I need to do financially and emotionally and mentally and legally and all these things? I sprung into action. I was not going to curl up into a fetal position and no. And I would encourage you to do the same. I know it hurts. I know you've been betrayed and it sucks, but you've got to get your focus back and figure out what you need to do, financially, legally, mentally and emotionally, all these different things. So for me, the first one was financially. So how do I make ends meet? So I ended up getting roommates, and I had just signed a lease on this house. She had not signed a lease. That was by design. She had this planned. And so I got in 2 roommates that actually were great guys. And of course I did background checks and all that good stuff. But over the course of the year that I had to stay in this house to not break the lease and hurt my credit, what they were paying covered most of the expenses. So it actually turned out to be a blessing. Okay. Again, I sprung into action and I covered my ass, so as to speak, so I wasn't hurt financially. The next thing I did right after she left was I counseled with an attorney. You don't know what's going to happen. In this case, she said, I don't want a divorce. I just think we should separate and we can work on our marriage from from different houses, whatever. Look, if she's willing to betray you like that, like was done to me, there's no telling what she's capable of doing. And that completely changed how I looked at her. And so I counseled with an attorney, told him the situation. He advised me, and I think it cost me $200 for an hour. If that's the case, guys, go get a consultation with an attorney. It's money well spent. It's time well spent. You need to know what your legal options are in your state, and things that you need to be aware of and or cognizant of. So, and then I focus solely on me and my well-being, financially, mentally, emotionally, and physically as well. And what I mean by that is you've been betrayed, and some of you are like, damn, I don't want to lose my wife. So what, I'll do anything to keep her, to not lose the marriage, to not be divorced. And that's understandable. It is, but only to a certain degree. You need to make sure that you are not completely giving her all the power. She's not holding all the cards. It's not one-sided, in that you're working your ass off to preserve the marriage and she is just taking. Be careful of that. Focus on you. Protect you financially, mentally, and emotionally, and that will definitely benefit you. So there's a few things that from an emotional, mental, and financial perspective that I want to share with you. I got three suggestions here. So the number one is, make sure it doesn't affect your job or livelihood. And what I mean by that is the core of what you have in your life, especially when you've been betrayed by your wife and she's left, or she's done whatever she's done. Well, you are going to come through this. There is going to come a point where you've gone through it, you've made it through it, you've navigated it and or overcome, and you want to make sure that you did not screw up your job, you didn't lose your job, you didn't, because you were in such a terrible place mentally and emotionally that you let that fall as well. So that's the first thing that I would encourage. And again, and also too, it helps you to kind of focus your thoughts and your mind instead of focusing on how you were betrayed. Next thing number two is reach out for support to family and friends. Do not isolate yourself. There's a tendency with a lot of men to isolate and brood over what has been done to you, and that's a mistake. That's a huge mistake. I know in my case, I had family, I had friends who were calling me and were checking on me and were telling me, look, what has been done to you is not your fault. She has betrayed you, and it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And you kind of need that, because it's hard when you're betrayed to not, feel, well, shit, what did I do wrong? Did I deserve this? And how, if this person swore they loved me and they had my back for life, and then they did this, how is that possible? And family and friends will reinforce your value, your self-worth. And so I would encourage you about that. The last thing, number three, that I would really encourage is take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. Deal with what is in front of you, and only that. And what I mean by that is, try not to create possible negative scenarios in your head. When I counseled with my attorney, I was told, I said, well, what about this? And what about that? And what if she does this? And how about this? And he said, look, man, don't worry about shit that hasn't happened. It's a waste of time. Worry is a waste of time. And it skews your thinking, because if you have been betrayed and you're now separated and or heading towards divorce, you're going to need to make a lot of hard decisions, and you don't want your thinking to be skewed by worry and of what may happen. Take it day by day. Focus on what's in front of you. Listen to your counsel, and that will help you. I mean, I can tell you in my own story. So, she walked out, she left. We were separated for over a year. I filed for divorce. And in my personal case, I ended up being granted divorce, and I walked away completely scot-free, which was beautiful. And all the things that I had been concerned about or worried about initially, I just tamped them down in my head and said, nope, let things play out, take it one day at a time, and expect the best. So, look, guys, if you've been betrayed, what you're feeling is valid. It is absolutely valid. And it's okay for you to feel it and, question. I mean, how do you trust? It is a valid question once you've been betrayed. How do you trust someone ever again? How do you trust the woman that you're with after she's done something like that? I tried to myself. And other things happened, other betrayals, and I finally said enough is enough, and I filed for divorce. And that's maybe the place where you are or will get to, but that's yours. The thing I would suggest is to think long term. Even though you're in the moment, you've been betrayed, you've been hurt, it sucks, you've been gut punched, so as to speak. Think long term. Try to let go of the anger day by day as much as possible. And the reason I'm saying that is you're doing it for you. I'm saying that because long term, you want to be healthy mentally and emotionally. And like I mentioned before, if you're acting emotionally, if you're acting out of anger, you're going to make bad decisions, and you don't want that. So anger is understandable. Get angry, express your anger to your friends, to your family, to your therapist, but don't allow it to pollute your mind and distort your decision making, okay? In some cases, that's actually what she wants. She wants to throw you off and have you do stupid shit out of anger. Key decisions are probably going to have to be made, and you want to have a clear mind, a calm, peaceful mind to make good decisions. So guys, that's what I've got for you today as far as betrayal goes. Like and subscribe to Resilient Man channel if this is encouraging you. I hope it is. I really do. I hope it shows you that you're not alone if you've been betrayed. And, guys, comment down below, share your own stories, and see if we can encourage our brethren out there. But guys, know your worth and protect your peace.